Hey guys, here we are with the final recap of the season. It's been a great year, the inaugural Bass Pro Tour season, and here we are, inaugural Bass Pro Tour REDCREST, the championship for us. And it's been a great year. Blessed to be on the Bass Pro Tour. So the REDCREST was a tournament I was excited about. La Crosse, Wisconsin, Mississippi River. The place is full of largemouth and smallmouth, but the tournament, really. It didn't pan out like I would have liked to. I obviously wanted to win this tournament. That didn't happen. Still caught a lot of fish, caught some smallmouth and largemouth. I'm gonna break down exactly how I caught them and the rods I caught them on. My game plan going into this tournament obviously was just to find an area or a pattern or something I could catch as many fish as possible. We get a short practice time, day and a half, and in that day and a half, what I had found that was working really well for me was main river current smallmouth. And we all know how finicky smallmouth can be, but it was just so good in practice that I got drawn into that. I was trying to find as many places as I could. So to do that, and it ended up kind of being my downfall because in the tournament it changed and I didn't adjust quick enough, but I still caught some, just not enough. But the way I was doing that to catch those smallmouth on the main river was an Ed rig. You've heard me talk about it before, but it's a phenomenal bait to catch those fish if they're looking for a crawfish. And even in the current, this is a little bait. I think this is a 3/16 or an 1/8, depending on how strong the current was I was throwing this week. Putting a Cabin Creek sinking worm on it. Go about halfway up or 2/3 up on the worm, cut it off, thread that on there. I was using a weedless Ned head, and I was throwing it on riprap or any type of wing dam that would break the current. Those smallmouth would be in there, trying to find them a crawfish. Still caught a lot of fish doing it, just didn't catch enough. But for the Ned rig, you need a good rod, and for that I built an MHX NSJ 822.5. I've used 822 for years, but the 822.5's got a little more stiffness to it. Rod works really well. It's an Elite X, super sensitive. So this little bitty bait, you can imagine, was flowing really fast in the current, and then when one of those smallmouth would pick it up, you could feel every bit of it with that Elite X. Cigar Smackdown 20-pound braid to an Invis-X or an Abrase-X leader. Now I was using 12-pound on my leader because it was dirty water and it was really rocky, so I didn't want to break off very much. Most of the time I would use 8 or 10, but this week I used 12. So that's how I caught a lot of my fish, and it's a great way to catch smallmouth and even largemouth. I did catch some largemouth on it. When I tried to make the adjustment and tried to go catch more largemouth late in the tournament to make up the ground I needed to, I went and I used I flipped and I threw a chatterbait, and I caught fish. I just don't know that I was in the right area to really make up that ground, but I caught plenty of fish, just it was a little too late. When I was flipping, using a 5/16 ounce 4/0 hook, kind of a flapping style crawl trailer or crawl bait, black and blue, NEPS. This is our Elite Pro Series rod, the 90HF, which is one of 2 of my favorite flipping rods from Mudhole. If you're using a 1/4 ounce, 5/16, 3/8 ounce flipping bait, this 90HF, it's a 7/6 rod, paired with a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, 20-pound Cigar flipping fluorocarbon. It's a dynamite setup. Pitching it around current breaks, back in the little backwaters, wood, undercut banks, whatever was there, and I was catching largemouth and smallmouth doing that, but predominantly largemouth. Then on the chatterbait, it was a 3/8 ounce chatterbait. They used 20-pound Invis-X on that because the water's dirty, not worried about fish seeing it. 6-to-1 gear ratio reel, a little slower because you're winding it, and a rod that CB 907. MHX makes this rod. It's really a crankbait rod, but it's a phenomenal chatterbait rod. It's got a lot of parabolic bend to it. It's 7/6, but it's got some backbone. It's got got enough stiffness to set the hook with a chatterbait. But what happens when you're winding that chatterbait with this CB 907, it lets the fish get the whole bait, and you kind of absorbs all that, and you can just lean in, and that whole parabolic bend gets them. It's a great chatterbait rod, and if you're looking for a chatterbait rod to build this winter, CB 907 would be it. So that's how I caught the fish this week. Obviously not happy with the finish, but looking back on a great year, we can't be disappointed. I was here in the first one. We made history with the REDCREST. 10, 20 years from now, we'll look back and say, man, I was a part of that. So great to be here. Looking forward to the off season. We got a lot of rods to build, a lot of game planning to do for next year. Maybe a few deer to kill. We've got the Bradley Roy High School tournament coming up, and we've got USA Carriers tournament coming up this fall too. So busy fall. great year. I appreciate the support all year long, and we'll see you next time.